Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Asa the Greek, and today we're continuing our short PG theories with one that's very out of left field. A theory that, if executed well, could be very interesting, though I'd personally want it to be wrong. So, without further ado, let's start with today's theory. First of all, I need to get this out before proceeding with the rest, but it's clear to say that the team has been really careful with paying attention to detail. The best example I can give right now is that Ava is spending almost all of her free time in the basement. In hindsight, now that we know Ava was behind the first murder case, it makes sense that she spent so much time in the basement, as almost all the tools she used were located there. With that fact in mind, I want to talk about something that caught my attention when playing through Chapter 1. Specifically something we see very briefly. When it comes to foreshadowing, you want to give someone a small hint early on, but not enough to make it too obvious. So, how about we take a look at this? Do you see anything suspicious here? In the scene where Ava and Damon find Toes' motive, the game zooms in to give the player a better look. Yet, by doing so, it also shows you a better look of a poster talking about the FREGOLI delusion, or FREGOLI syndrome as it's most commonly known. Why would they put the effort into making this specific poster? The other poster makes sense, as it's talking about x-rays and stuff, but the FREGOLI syndrome? And this room is barely of any importance to the rest of the chapter. There's practically zero reason to go back to this room. You cannot interact with anything here, and since the rest of the cast isn't aware of its existence, there's no one here during free time events for you to talk to. The only use this room has is this scene. The scene where Ava and Damon talk about the Tozu posters. To give you an idea of what the FREGOLI delusion is, in case you weren't like me and read it during the playthrough, I'll use the characters from the cast. Pretend Damon has this syndrome and he believes that Wolfgang wants to harm him. He runs into Diana and he acknowledges that Diana looks nothing like Wolfgang. Yet he's convinced that Diana is actually Wolfgang and that she is a threat to him. In a very quick way, that's what the FREGOLI syndrome is. But now you're going to say, Astra, are you crazy? Are you implying that nothing we see is real? Well, not exactly. Damon doesn't seem to confuse the cast members for one specific person, though that could change in the future. But that's not the only symptom the FREGOLI syndrome has. Aside from people, a patient can confuse animals and places too. And don't we know of something that works with this? Tozu has confirmed to all the students that they are in fact in Edensgarden Academy, yet it looks nothing like a school. So Damon is certain that he's in the right place, despite not looking the part. Add on the killing game and how most of the cast doesn't really like Damon, and you also get the feeling of being in danger. So, do I think that all of this is in Damon's mind and the story will end with Damon in a hospital gown somewhere? No. I think what happens in the game is true, to an extent. What changes is the presentation of these events. My theory is this. Damon suffers from the FREGOLI syndrome, which causes him to view things differently from the others. The cast is actually in the Edensgarden Academy as students, but thanks to his disorder, Damon sees this experience as life-threatening. This explains how most students have a very positive view about their situation, seeing how they don't need to kill or that they want to be friends with each other. So far, the only person to go against that view is Ava, but we do see how she sees herself as less and thinks everyone hates her, explaining why she doesn't want to get close to them. So if the killing game isn't real but the events are, what happens? What kills Wolfgang and Ava? Well, the answer is simple. Damon does. The snake symbolism has already made many of us believe that Damon is meant to represent the devil in the story, and it's clear Damon is heading for a villain or possibly antagonistic arc to the rest of the cast. So what if the deaths that happened and will happen in the future are his victims? I talked about that in my Chapter 1 final thoughts, but I found it weird how Damon didn't consider once that he was responsible for Wolfgang's murder, even though he was. If Damon had talked to Wolfgang about his blackmail, Wolfgang would have no reason to show up to the boiler room. He'd go with Grace to the tournament, Eva would see her plan fail and no one would die. Yet not once did he think that. As for Ava, one thing struck to me as odd after playing the trial. In the post-trial scene, Ava tells everyone that they should be glad that she was honest about what she did, and that she didn't lie and plead for her life. But she did. When playing Argument Altercation, I was too tired to notice at first. If you know, you know. But when Damon defeats her, Ava says this.
No! Don't kill me!
Isn't that weird? And contradictory of her later statement? In the canon games, this minigame was a simple rhythm game, yet here we have a full-on bullet hell battle where the players win if Damon shoots Ava enough times. Only for the minigame to end with Ava, her sprite never looking more terrified, not even when she's about to get executed, while shouting, "No, don't kill me." Is it not a weird thing to say, despite how she's very determined after the trial ends? You'd think the opposite would happen, yet it doesn't. And the fact Ava starts blaming Damon moments before that makes it more possible, since at that point Ava was the only person to be threatened by the rest of the cast like Damon was. So what could happen? Damon killed Wolfgang because he found him a threat to his disorder, and once Ava, the one person Damon trusted or liked, seemed to get suspicious, he killed her too. And in his mind, he's justifying this as Ava dying because she killed Wolfgang. It's almost as if we see the truth in that brief moment in argument altercation, and the rest of the post-trial is what Damon imagines Ava would say and do in a situation like this. This isn't as important, but something else to mention is that the FREGOLI syndrome is usually accompanied by loss of memory, and there have been mentions of Damon forgetting things. In fact, in one of Winona's free time events, Damon tells her that he scraps everything from memory once a debate is over. So perhaps it's not that he manually forgets everything, but it's just a symptom of his disorder and he only thinks he's forgetting on purpose. Tozu and Mara could also be members of the Academy staff. Maybe Tozu is the headmaster, since in the tree room there is a bust of Tozu, so maybe he's an important member of Ida's academy. And Mara is maybe the nurse? And the reason why we haven't seen her at all up to this point is because Damon is actively avoiding her. So this could very well be a story about a mentally ill student killing his classmates until he's caught, or until only 2 remain, which honestly could turn into a good finale if handled properly. In all honesty, while I have said a lot of stuff that could support this theory, I don't really believe this to be true. I don't think the story is going to take such a dark turn, but it did catch my attention and I did want to cover all my bases by saying it now, just in case it becomes more plausible later. I'm definitely going to try and look out for more possible hints or clues regarding this theory in the upcoming chapters. But that will be all for today. What do you think of this theory? Do you think Damon suffers from this syndrome? Do let me know in the comments, but until the next video, do take care and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.